Hey, BJ here with a Business Coach Mastery, all with a training around taking action and, more importantly, how to get momentum with the snowball effect. Now, you're probably familiar with the snowball effect. First, let me just say, we talk all the time here about specific strategies, specific activities, things that you need to do to grow your business coaching practice. Things about lead generation, how to convert leads into prospects. How do you coach your clients to get results in a simple step-by-step manner? We have those conversations all the time. If you've watched any of the trainings, if you've seen any of the podcasts or listened to any of the podcasts, then you're familiar with those. But there's also the pieces of building anything, certainly a business coaching business, that you have to consider, that you have to walk through, that you have to deal with. And activity and action, regardless of what they are, you absolutely have to understand the power, the opportunity, and the reasons why you want to make sure that you're taking not just action, but the right kinds of action, and you're consistent. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about in the next few minutes. It's just all about the snowball effect. Now, and the reason why I'm calling it the snowball effect, currently, as it stands, I live in Nashville, Tennessee. We have 6 inches of snow on the ground, which is unusual for us. We typically don't get that much snow. But it was a great reminder as watching, kids sled and watching them, build snowmen, and just the momentum from starting with nothing and it creating this opportunity over time, over activity, to see all these snowmen all over the neighborhood, all over the community. And building business coaching businesses is the same way. So you're familiar with it. That snowball effect. When you start very small, you continue to roll slowly, you can roll, and it gets bigger and bigger. As you add more momentum, as you add more activity, as you add more, push, right? Things begin to change. And so all of a sudden you end up with this larger snowball, or even part of a snowman, if you will. But it didn't start out that way. It started out basically with it's something that was, in the size of a quarter when it first got going. Some people even call this, the definition of the 1% gains. It just simply means that the activity that you're doing has the chance to just change things by 1% here, 1% there, and so on. Which is an interesting fact, because part of the system that we get, that's a done-for-you system for coaches, we call it the focus method. That's exactly what we do with business owners. We're helping them to recognize what small incremental percentage adjustments look like through multiple business strategies. And so understanding momentum, because that's what happens, just like compound interest, you have the compound effect of one strategy on another strategy on another strategy. And so when you understand that everything doesn't lie within just one activity, it's several activities put together. And now sometimes we don't always know exactly which activities are producing the best results, because oftentimes it's the several of those activities together. So just like building a snowman, it's not just one part. There's oftentimes you've seen a snowman. There's 3 different elements to a snowman in terms of the base, the middle, and the head. Sometimes 4. And so when you understand that momentum and that just the consistency of imperfect action, and that how you're starting out in the beginning is likely not what it's going to be like down the road. In Ecclesiastes 11:6, I'm going to paraphrase, so I don't know it word by word, but he's essentially saying that plant your seeds early in the morning, stay busy all afternoon, for you don't know which activity is going to produce profit, or perhaps even both. It's pretty close to that. But think about that just for a moment. The suggestion is there, look, you got to plant seeds. You got to sow. You got to do the activity. And in our case, you got to take imperfect action. You got to just move forward. We oftentimes overthink not just one part, but all of it. And that's the problem. And so if I say here and told you, here's the absolute number one thing that you could do to grow your business coaching practice. But if you have reservation and hesitation and you don't move forward because but what if this happens? Well, but what if that happens? That impacts your progress. And so regardless of where you are in the snowball effect, you don't get anywhere. So you got to take action. You got to put one foot in front of the other. So that's the first thing, understanding how momentum plays into the snowball effect. The second is overcoming fear and doubt and understanding that, look, there's going to be fear. There's going to be moments to where, is this going to work? Is this the right decision? Is this the right move? Should I spend time in the networking arena? Should I do workshops? Should I? And oftentimes this happens psychologically and we don't even know it. The stress of that over processing, the stress of just that constant thinking, the stress of just that repetitive, we end up getting busy on other things. And then one day turns into another day, that turns into 1 week, that turns into another week, that turns into a month, and so on. And all of a sudden, we've allowed fear to turn into procrastination, convincing ourselves, well, when I get it this way, or when I do it that way, when I do it, and look, I'm not suggesting that you need to be unprofessional at all. We certainly want to have a plan. We want to have solid plans. But even in planning those solid plans, you're going to have to understand how momentum works, and you're going to have to understand you're going to have to overcome fear. And one of the best ways to overcome fear, you ready for this? Go do something. Take action. Go do it. Because here's what's going to happen. When you begin to actually just go do, either A, it's going to work exactly how you wanted. B, it's going to have worked, but not exactly quite how you wanted. C, it's not going to work at all. Or D, it's just going to completely fail. Well, if this is the worst case scenario, and we understand that this is the worst case scenario, and we're going to go ahead and do it anyways, we know that this is the worst it can get. Now, we don't want to plan for failure, but we also want to be realistic and understanding, like, what's at risk, what's at stake, what's at cost, some time, money, and the list goes on and on. And so here's what I've learned and what I've discovered personally and working with a ton of coaches. Number one, rarely is it ever the worst case scenario. Rarely. As a matter of fact, by the law of averages, it's usually between A and B. In other words, it went just like we thought it would, or it went okay, but not quite like that. It's probably more in B than A, especially when you're just getting started, because you're learning a lot of things at the same time. So we have to embrace and understand that fear is a part of the process. Fear is a part of life, right? Fear, that's just a part of it. And if you allow the enemy to take foothold, you're going to get nowhere. And your desire of why you want to start your own business coaching practice will be the same desire it is a year from now, 2 years from now, and 5 years from now, simply because you've not taken the step, you've let fear and procrastination impact your opportunity. And I want to encourage you with that today. And the last is all about just the idea of that word opportunity. Because here's what I believe. As you begin to, okay, here's my plan. This is what I'm going to do. I'm starting to take action, and you're going to learn. Because as you begin to move forward, as you begin to take action, what typically begins to show up are new opportunities that you didn't even know. Here's an example of that, and I promise you this will happen to you. If you decide that I'm going to spend time building my network and getting to know more people in multiple ways, using networking groups, reaching out to your sphere of influence, the list goes on and on. I can tell you right now, without fail, you're going to meet people that you never thought you would meet in your life, and you will find opportunities that you've never thought that you will have in your life. And I'm living proof of that. Why? Just going and doing it. Now, the individual who goes on to that and they show up late to a networking event, they don't really connect with a lot of people because they're just, they're not truly in it to win it. They leave early. Now, you tell me, is that individual have a chance for finding more opportunities? No. But the one that goes in open-minded and ready to find opportunities that they don't know exist and they're excited about it, it will find you. All right? That's an example of that. And I've had that opportunity. I've had that opportunity throughout the entire course of my year. When you stay consistent and you're taking action, you're following a plan, you're adjusting your plan as you're learning, new opportunities arise every single time. They really do. You can't do it for a week. You can't do it for a month. You can't do it for 3 months. You got to be consistent. And you got to have a mindset that says that I'm going to be consistent on the days that it's raining, on the days that it's snowing, on the days that no one's answering. That's where the rubber meets the road in terms of getting traction and how you build momentum. All right. So recap, momentum. It is tiny steps multiplied together consistently, kind of pushing, making that snowball bigger and bigger. It's not typically just one thing. It's not even sometimes two things. And you're going to learn and discover this is working, that is not. But it's going to take consistency, small actions, 1% gains here and there, overcoming fear, not listening to the head trash that is really easy to listen to, not getting in your own way, just go and do. And every time I've seen a coach do that, the ones that do that, it might not always be gorgeous. It might not always be pretty. That's okay. In the beginning, you're going to refine that. Let me ask you this. Would you rather take imperfect action? It'd be a little bit bumpy. It'd be not be quite like you would prefer it to be, but you got 3 or 4 clients. Or would you rather, I'm going to wait till I get it right. How can you get anything right if you're not taking action to figure out what works and what doesn't? Because what's going to happen after you get 3 or 4 clients, then you have the opportunity to refine the process. Hope that makes sense to you. I hope that you understand how to momentum matters. Overthinking absolutely will crush your spirit and it will crush your future. You've got to get out there. The quicker you take action, the more that you're going to learn. Period. 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 People ask all the time about running Facebook ads and paid social media, and I started doing that not far after that Facebook allowed advertising. So it's been a better part of well more than a decade. So, and I'm self-taught. I might have taken a few courses here or there in the beginning, but over time, as they had new products and new opportunities, I just went and did it. Have I spent money that didn't work? Yeah, I did. But I can promise you right now, I know a lot about how to run a compelling Facebook campaign. Why? Because I went and did. I got scabbed, bruised. I got ads that got declined. I've got all kinds of hairy scenarios that didn't work out to give me the campaigns that absolutely do. You're watching potentially, you're watching this training because you came through a Facebook funnel. And so I'm not suggesting that you use paid advertising, by the way. I'm using that as an example of the snowball effect was me one day just starting to figure it out. And over time, it got better and better and better to now I'm really, really good at it. But it didn't start out that way. Nothing in life starts out that way. Hope that encourages you today. If you're curious about starting, creating, and growing your very own business coaching practice, you don't know where to start, you can go to businesscoachmastery.com. There's some information that you can get there. You can schedule a time to chit-chat with us to get more information. There might be a button even on this page if you're viewing this on a web page somewhere, and we'll go from there. Okay, until next time, take care.